Even the Mexicans view the migrant caravans as an invasion. And right they are. Good for them. They shouldn't accept just anyone coming from any old country into their country without permission, especially as we saw how they got there. Tearing down fences on the way, breaking through the barriers that were there to prevent them from entering illegally, and not caring a whit for the laws of the countries through which they intend to pass. Why should they be allowed to come? But first, let me shill something Ben Shapiro style, but it's okay, this is my own event. So, Antifa, combined with the Irish government, combined with gender studies professors from Ireland, managed to get us deplatformed from the Irish Community Centre that me and Count Dankula were going to do our show on Friday the 23rd this week. Well, we've found another venue. This one's slightly smaller. The previous one was 350 capacity, but this one's 220, and just over half the tickets have already been sold. And with this one, it will be announced the night before the event is due to happen. So on Thursday evening, the actual venue will be announced, but it is in the City of London, so anywhere around there will be good enough if you need to get a hotel or something like that. Just head to there. The venue will be announced, and I'll announce it on my Facebook and on YouTube and whatnot. I've decided that I'm going to hold off on the Corbyn show as well. I've actually got a new show planned that is going to be really good fun. It's going to be called Brexit Derangement Syndrome. And we will be exploring Brexit derangement syndrome among the populace, among the political class, and among the Eurocrats who are all gnashing their teeth and tearing their hair and wailing as if it's the end of fucking days, because God willing, for the European Union, it will be. See you there. So it turns out the Mexicans are going to save the United States from the border caravan. So the border caravan has reached Tijuana, which is a border city between Mexico and the United States, and the Mexicans want them to piss off home. Because the Mexicans are a bunch of xenophobic racists, don't you know? And I'm just saying, all I'm saying, right, is all Mexicans are racist. Racism is power plus prejudice, and these people are the dominant ethnic group of Mexico, and they are being prejudicial towards the border caravan. So we know that Mexicans are all racist institutionally, and they have no option but to be so. So really, Mexico needs a good dose of social justice. I am, of course, joking. The last thing anyone needs is cancer. But good on the Mexicans. Absolutely good on the Mexicans. You are completely correct. These people have no legitimacy when it comes to coming into your country illegally, or the United States, or Guatemala. So good for you for actually standing up and saying no, and calling this an invasion, because frankly, it's not being done legally, is it? Hundreds of residents have taken to the streets of the Mexican border town in protest of the thousands of migrants trying to get to the US. They were urging the migrants to leave Tijuana to the south of California. The migrants are part of a large caravan of Central Americans who have been travelling through Mexico to the US and want to claim asylum. Now, it's weird that the BBC don't include the fact that this is a caravan that's being organised by a Soros-funded activist group. Pueblos Sin Fronteras, the town without borders, or people without borders. As in, people who don't believe in your country existing, which is why they get to come and live in your country. It's not that they're looking at the stable order of the United States, the rule of law, the prosperity that has brung, and thought, that's a good system. We should do something like that. Maybe in our own country. I mean, honestly, what would be wrong with just you copying word for word the US Constitution and following that as the law of the land, so you have an accountable state that you can actually back, so you have a method of rooting out corruption, and so you actually have something to support against the cartels and gangs and shootings, so you actually have a legitimate state to back, so you can crack down on the criminals that are ruining Honduras. I mean, Honduras has got the highest murder rate in the entire world. It is what Donald Trump would call a shithole country. And it's a shithole country not because of the race of the people, possibly because of socialism. I actually don't know that much about Honduras' political system, but it's definitely because of a lack of the rule of law. That is the one key thing that will help any country prosper. And if you don't have that, then you need to have a strong and capable and accountable state to impose it. Because imposing the rule of law is good for everyone except the criminals. Tijuana Mayor Juan Manuel Gastelum? Come on, Mexicans, I tried, alright? Said on Friday that he expected the number of migrants arriving in the city in the coming weeks to reach 10,000, warning the city was not prepared to handle the avalanche. Well, that's just racist. That's just xenophobic. I mean, you don't seem to understand. They're actually called New Mexicans, and they'll be living in your country now because the United States isn't going to let them in because Donald Trump had an executive order about it. So you're going to have to get used to these migrants living in your country. Oh, the irony. Jokes aside, though, The mayor's completely correct. They don't deserve to have to deal with this problem. They didn't cause it. They're not responsible for it. They don't owe anything to these people. These people need to go home and fix their goddamn country. They are invaders. They are armed. Get out of the country, the protesters shouted. What are we going to do? The Mexicans are against the Hondurans. What do we do? Intersectionality, save us. What's that, Skippy? It's going to hurt the Mexicans who actually rely on business coming and going across the border, and the migrants are going to get the border closed, which means that people will lose money because these migrants have decided, thanks to George Soros and his NGOs, that they can actually come from Honduras to Mexico without getting any kind of permission, without doing things legally, and it's going to hurt the people who have to live with it. My goodness, I can't believe unchecked migration is bad for everyone. Out Hondurans, we don't want you here. Whew, that's just racist. Why are you Honduranophobic? What is it about Hondurans that makes Mexicans irrationally scared? I mean, apart from the fact they're going to cost them loads of money and possibly their jobs and their livelihoods. What is it about these Mexicans that is so bigoted and racist towards Hondurans? Don't they realise that they're all just Hispanics, really? I'm not afraid of them. This is just racism, said Alonso Castillo, 37, a construction worker from Honduras. Right. So it's that the Mexicans are just racist towards Hondurans. It's not that you broke a bunch of laws in a bunch of different countries just getting to the point you're at. It's not that you threaten their livelihoods with your illegal actions. It's that they're racists. Well, that solves the problem, doesn't it? We don't need to look any deeper into this. Now we know that Mexicans are just racist Hondurans. You saw what happened the other night down by the beach. These people are aggressive, said Ana Mendez, 27, another illegal immigrant who watched her 6-year-old play along the swing set. What if they come here later at night when the journalists aren't around? Yeah, maybe you should leave. Maybe you should go home. On WhatsApp and Facebook groups used to organise the demonstrations, anti-caravan protesters have reportedly described asylum seekers as a cancer that signals the end of Mexico and equal to gonorrhea. Jesus, tell us how you really think. Until now, we have been treated well. They treated us so well in Mexico City, but here nothing. I was thinking about staying in Tijuana. Now I don't know. I didn't come here for this. Yeah, that's exactly the point. You weren't thinking about staying in Mexico City or any of the other places that you'd passed. You weren't threatening their livelihoods, were you? You come to Tijuana, the Tijuanans accurately identify that you're going to ruin them, and they're like, would you just piss off before you ruin us? And you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll leave. Yep, that's what they want. That is what they want. Go home. It is unclear how long Tijuana can handle the influx of migrants. Officials have estimated that until they receive the funds they've requested from the federal government, they have only about a week's worth of resources. You know what? I think Donald Trump could win a massive public relations coup here and give the Tijuanans the resources they need. It's going to be small potatoes to the US, and it's going to really help bolster the relationship with the people who live right next to the United States and the United States, and it'll show that Donald Trump actually cares about the people who are going to be suffering because of the machinations of the globalists. Most caravan members saying they are fleeing intense poverty and violence. I hate this, I'm fleeing poverty. So, right, your country's shit because you let it be shit. No one else allows it to be shit, you let it to be shit. You know, if my country had like roving gangs around, I would join the police or the armed forces or whatever I had to do. And all of the young men on this caravan should have done the same thing. You need to sort your country out. You have no choice. What are you going to do? Run away and hope someone else takes you in? They're not going to take you in. Fix your fucking shithole countries. Oh, imagine my shock. The Tijuanans were right. The border has been closed. Now they're losing money because of the migrant caravan. Thanks very much, migrants. It looks like you're impoverishing people everywhere you go. If only you could sort your shithole country out. There is no other option. Do you want your country to be a shithole indefinitely for the rest of time, or do you want to fix it? And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, but what about the gangs? Okay, ask the US to go and destroy the gangs. If you need an intervention, then why wouldn't the US intervene? And again, this could be a huge humanitarian coup for Donald Trump. What happened? Well, Donald Trump wiped out ISIS, seemed to help things a bit in the Middle East. Trump then wiped out a bunch of gangs in Honduras and helped restore the rule of law to that country. Seemed to be a pretty good thing as well. I bet that if he set down like a 6-month timeline, right, so we're going to go in there, lightning strikes, use the full force of the US military, backed by the Honduran government, I would assume, because I'm sure they're not in favour of these rampaging cartels, are they? And go in there, and if they refuse to surrender, wipe them out. That's what you must do to people who don't respect the rule of law. If they're going to use violence to run a black market, to run illegal substances through your country and corrupt your government, in the process further decaying and destroying your nation, you've got to do something about them. And it has to be with violence, because it looks like they're not going to just lay down their arms. And seriously, I would say that for my country, if my country were in the state of Honduras, I would say come in here and fix this. We need to start being responsible. We need to start guaranteeing property rights, and we need to start protecting our citizens. There is no other choice. You can't just all run to America. The Americans won't take it. I mean, hell, the Mexicans won't even take it.